Welcome to Entrepreneur Life with me, Joel Campbell, and I am an entrepreneur. Once again, I've done the same thing. I've shot an episode. Well, Kieran, I'm going to blame Kieran for this one. So Kieran, whilst he was in his role, shot a load of different meetings I was having one day. It was back at the end of May. And basically, he shot a number of different things that were going on that day. It was actually a handover day. It was the process of handovers of me giving systems over to the attraction team. So I was spending a lot of time with Lauren, handing over phone systems, IT systems, different back house admin systems and stuff like that, and just bring her into the fold for how they all work and how they operate, and giving her access and getting all of that going. Naturally, we got disturbed in the middle of that meeting. Lauren got pulled away for something, so she got pulled away, which then led me to do another little video which talks all about suppliers and very much around sort of the heating, but also just kind of the challenges with contractors at the moment, with just everyone's so busy trying to get work sort of scheduled in and stuff like that. So it folds into that. And then I met with our finance manager for the attraction division, with Kirsty, who then we just had to go through a number of different things and systems. We had to go through different things like ordering. We had to go through things like VAT, reconciliations, just all the things that we already do, but we're just streamlining it, just again, handing over a little bit more. So that's really what this video is all about. I guess it's going to get a little bit boring, I'm going to be honest, because it's just kind of talking about the ins and the outs of the systems, and some of the processes and bits and pieces like that. So it's not overly exciting episode, but it is a true representation of entrepreneur life, of handing over more and more to your team. So that's really what this video is going to show. Obviously, I've just shot the beginning, like 2.5 weeks after the actual videos were shot, but there you go. Paul's going to cut it in for me. I hope you enjoy the episode, and send me your comments and your thoughts. I'm gonna do the hosting, but I'm gonna invite by email, and I'm gonna ping it to you, and I'm gonna ping it to whoever, and we just use it like we use Teams effectively. Yeah. But we just do it like that. So and anybody that downloads it, anyone that's got an account can download the app, and then just connect in using the same email and password that they have for setup. Okay. That's where the visitor centres will struggle a little bit more, because obviously with one phone and one login, it's who's got the login. That's something we need to consider. And obviously I can then go into all my settings, so I can just change whatever I want to. So in theory, and I think this is one of those things where historically, for whatever reason, and I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just the way it was, we've always gone, right, if you have a phone number, we need to order you a phone. But why? We don't actually. What you need is a computer and an internet line. That's the key thing. The other challenges, so here, I tried to get a hold of them on Tuesday, couldn't get them at all, trying to ring them, couldn't get them. Charlie was trying to get them, couldn't get them. I don't know if they're in today, like on location. Yeah. Okay, so I in Tuesday or yesterday, which is fine, I don't know what the working hours is, it's not a problem, but it was just in case I needed something from that perspective, so I made the call. I could have sent an email, but I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And because I've been through the phone system recently, I can see obviously who is using what. That's the beauty. You can see who's using what when they're using it and stuff. So it's quite a nice way of just sort of keeping a check on it effectively. So that's that. And actually, I was kind of like, it wasn't an issue, and I was thinking, there's no reason for them to be on site. It's great that they've got an office, they've got the space to use. Yeah. You manage them however you feel best. But the reality is, for a role like that, there really isn't. I honestly don't think that either of us can sit here and say, this is why they need to be on site. I don't think that's true. I think there's once a month that they definitely have to be at a location at the same time as us to do the meetings. And maybe there's a couple of other meetings in between, but outside of that, I was wrapping my brain last night, and I couldn't think of an instance where they were required to be here. Because they're not shouting, so, do you know what I mean? And I thought that's actually quite nice. It starts freeing up again. I think sales and marketing are different, because you need that. I think you need more of that connection. Oh no!
Oh, stay away from me.
Oh well, it's just every day.
Yeah, especially you, yeah.
Oh, she's not feeling well, is she? That's all right.
Yes.
Did you want to go down? I'll try and
Yeah.
figure this out. So, reading the riot act, or just try and find out whether they're actually gonna. I don't know if they'll take Jeff with you.
Yeah.
Just to see if they're gonna actually want to put forward something on what we're doing. But certainly get the plans. Yeah. Contractors. A proper challenge.
Proper what?
Challenge. It's really hard with contractors because we need to use external companies, so heating contractors. So these guys, for example, these guys that Lauren's just gone to see are the heating partners. You're fine from this far away, but no, she's just gone to see some contractors, and it's always I would say it's a real challenge at the moment across the industry because we're finding it really hard to get contractors to come and do work, partially because they're so busy, because so many people need so much work to be done, so they're so busy, so it's really tricky to find. It's really hard to get them to come in to do the quotes and to find the time and then schedule the work, so it's taking ages. So trying to get the heating sorted is taking an age. But I think we're kind of falling into a gap where the work is too big for a small one-man band or a small company of 3, 4, 5, 6 people, because we're talking about commercial heating systems. There's another level up on boilers. So a person who does gas, for example, in a house isn't certified to do commercial gas because there's another pipe. The next size pipe up is another qualification, which, so it becomes commercial. But then we're not quite big enough to be a huge account for a big commercial engineering company or a big commercial supplier. So we're sort of somewhere in the middle. We can't use this side because we're slightly too big, but we're not big enough to be able to be a big enough contract for them to go, right, we have to put them to the top of the list. So we sort of sit quite low in the pecking order, which I understand. It's just frustrating because obviously we're trying to get heating done and get stuff done and move things forward, and we're trying to work at a certain pace. And trying to get the contractors to match that pace is quite difficult. But I think that's just it in general. I think that's across the board. And as we scale and grow, and I talk a lot at the moment about growing beyond the pain. So a lot of the pain that we feel, I think, as a small, medium-sized company, a lot of the pain is going up a couple of levels. So you need the demand and the work. And therefore, the contractors put you as a higher contract, so you get people in quicker. But also, I think the scheduling and just having enough people, as we're talking about now, we're doing the phone system. So I'm kind of passing it over to Lauren, and we're looking at going, really, we kind of do need an IT person because we do the IT in-house. And that IT person could do all the computers, all the phones, could do the desk phones, could then also do the integrations with the phones into other systems like our sales systems and our marketing systems. They could look at it company-wide. They can deal with things like Microsoft 365 licenses and all of that. And it starts to become a job. And we're like, okay, cool. What's the salary for that job going to be? What's it look like? And when does it become the right time to employ that person to do it? Because I believe that the right time to employ people is as soon as you can afford to. And it's one of those age-old questions. When do you bring in a new employee? When do I bring somebody in to do this role? And really, it's as soon as you can afford to do it. If you want to scale your company, that's when you do it. And sometimes you need to do it before you can actually afford to do it. Because these people pay for themselves, but the challenge is when we get to where we are, we realistically, I think there's 7 or 8 kind of key or strategic roles that we would really like to fill today or tomorrow, but we might have a budget for 2 of those. So it's well, which 2 are the most important out of the 8 and where do we go with it? And therefore it's a case of which direction do you go? And not every role, which again is the next challenge. So we're in a position where now we're employing roles where they don't look like they're income generating. So if we employed somebody to do the IT side, they're not going to generate any income. It's not like employing somebody in sales or marketing or something like that we can tangibly go, right, that person's gone in sales and they've gone and done 20 grand's worth of sales this week, therefore that makes sense. We can see how they care for themselves. So somebody that goes into a world or into a role that's not income generating,
we then have to assess it in a different way and go, well, the work that they're doing frees me up from having to do it, or frees Lauren up from having to do it, and that saves us X amount of time that we can spend over here, which means we can then bring the value as an income, for example, on that side. Also, it's going to make the organisation run slicker, and therefore we're going to reduce the amount of downtime. We're going to reduce the amount of downtime on hardware, the amount of issues we have. And when you have a problem with your computer, rather than coming to me and taking me an hour, it might take them 3 minutes. So like that's how we kind of have to assess it. But it's really hard when you're looking to employ one of these eight roles and you're like, which one's most important?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, at the moment that's most important, but in 2 hours' time that might be most important, and therefore you have to kind of balance it, which is why I think investment models do work, because if you get an influx of cash, I've always said, like if we had, I don't know, the number changes, but if we had like an extra 200 grand just sat in an account and we're like, right, cool, we can use that for salaries, then I think we would be able to attribute that straight to salaries, employ all the people we needed, and I think then we would scale super fast, and that 200 grand would just roll back in really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the money in the first instance, it's like, well, you have to go slow. That's the exponential growth curves. So we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I'll just hand the phone system to Lauren. There you go, you got it. It's all yours.
Take it.
It's yours. Please take it. Like so, yeah. And then the IT systems and such. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. But we've been chasing these guys, like, because these guys took. Because they were really good, they are really good, they're one of the biggest, and they deal with all the prisons in the country, so they really understand the buildings. And we've got all of our gas plans, and all the networking plans, all the infrastructure plans for all the civic works and stuff. So they took those away because they're all on paper to digitalise them, and this was months ago. And then when they've been going quite slowly, and we're like, well, we're going to start looking at other contractors. So we're looking at other contractors, and everyone's going, have you got your plans? And we're like, no, these guys took them. So we've been trying to get them back for like 4 months or something like that. This has been going on for like a year. So we've been trying to get back for 4 months, and they said to us yesterday, we're going to come down to site tomorrow and we'll bring you plans. We're like, that's great, because we actually need to start using them for other people. So it's just one of those things. And that's just purely on Shrewsbury. So off we go. It's a challenging day because interest rates moved today, so that's going to be exciting.
I didn't know that the heating was so complicated.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It really should not be that complicated, and I don't think it is complicated. It's just like I say. And I totally get it, because my time gets really short, as you've seen this week. And I think what happens is, it's hard. Contractors are like, they've got a lot of work on, which is great. And they obviously have to stack it their end as well, like in terms of most valuable contracts and what's going to happen, and obviously how it all comes together. And I think it just takes so long. And there's that age-old saying that people overestimate what they can achieve in a day and a week, but underestimate what they can achieve in a year or 10 years. And it's that classic example. We all think we can do more than we actually can in a day, but we don't understand what we can actually achieve over a longer period of time. So we'll see. Let's wait for Lauren to sort of phone. My head's not with it today, I don't know why.
Did you inhale like varnish yesterday for the commission?
No, I think it was like I was in a really good space, and I had a phone call yesterday evening, and they're like, I just need a few minutes of time, so I can wait till tomorrow. And they're like, not really, I really need to speak to you tonight. So I'm like, okay, so I had to do that, and then that was like, it was a drama, it wasn't a drama, it was a bit of a drama, it shouldn't be a drama. I'm just like,
It's all the drama.
it was right towards the end of my evening as well, like, do you know what I mean? So it's just
I don't think my phone calls in the.
it's fine. Unfortunately, I totally get that, and I think in fairness, and Lauren will totally appreciate this as well. I think that the size we are currently and the jobs we don't quite have that flexibility. One of us always has to have our phones connected, just in case something happens. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But that's why we get paid the big bucks, isn't it, Lauren?
The way of life.
That's why we spend our winters glamorising in like foreign lands. Right, okay, what we're doing, thanks.
See you in
No, it's
5 minutes.
Let's just go to stand.
Trust me, right?
I absolutely trust you. Yeah, more than anyone.
Oh, that's deep, man.
I just remember, but I trusted Chrissy more than anyone. And do you remember what she did in Trexel that time? But she added like 24 guided tours.
Oh,
Do you remember
yeah.
when she came into my office, she went, Joel, don't be angry, and I went, okay, she went, I've made a mistake and I really need your help to fix it. And she was so serious, I was like, okay, what have you done? She went, I tried to adjust something on Tracksoft, and then I realised I made a mistake and I thought I could fix it. And now we've got 24 schedules of guided tours happening over the next 6 weeks, which means there's like 2,000 guided tours. It's like, okay, yeah, we probably need to adjust that. There you go. So you have all the power, look at you, like, oh, you've got the word super, well, like, because I'm a super admin, so you are also now a super admin, so in theory, I don't know, you're a super admin, I don't know, but I wonder whether you can actually log out of the system. Oh, please do.
That is a super admin, like, sort of responsibility, that, isn't it? You can already change your access. Oh,
No, you can't. Loser. I have the power. Yeah, no, it's fine. So yeah, so you can do everything in there basically.
So how do I still go through, like, my stuff?
You just go to when you're in users, you just click on
It's like myself, yeah.
Laura Watkins, that one, and then you can just adjust.
No, I mean, like, in terms of, like, if I have, like, a message or whatnot.
You just go to
I've probably got loads that I haven't deleted, to be fair.
yeah, well you listen to them all from here. So if you go to your user list, and you can see them there. So what you do is on Laura Watkins, you just click on the messages,
Absolutely.
and it'll ask you for your PIN. So you put in which saved. So you just confirm it, and you go right.
How do I get in it?
Oh, cool. I don't know.
Oh, hi Lauren, it's Kate. I don't know, are you free to stay for a chat just about
Quick stop. And then basically, when you want to get rid of one, so for example, delete that one.
Yeah.
You just go into there, and you can just delete them individually, or once I think you have to listen to them, but you can like highlight a load of them, and you just press delete, and then just delete them. I think that it was giving me issues the other day when I was trying to delete ones I hadn't listened to.
Yeah.
It was just erroring, but as soon as I went through
Yeah.
my Martin's read or Martin's listened, then it would let me delete them.
Yeah, because I get like the little notification that comes through on email saying you've got a message.
The issue is, and you can, if you connect it to your computer, you can just listen to them on email. You can listen to them obviously on your computer. They go through it. The issue is that I found the other day, for example, with like, let's say, like these ones, you can't access them because they're their passwords to get in.
Okay.
So what you can do is obviously press them to do it
Yeah.
and to get them to go through.
Yeah,
there will be a way you can access them,
Yeah,
but ultimately it's
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because people shouldn't have like
200. Yeah, well, I think that's the limit as well.
That's a lot.
I
Yeah.
think that's the capacity, so they need to go through and delete them. But the best way of doing it, they can do it off their phones.
Yeah.
The best way of doing it is they can go in and just
Yeah.
mass delete it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might have to
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
push that a little bit. Yeah, so I need to do a couple of bits. The accountants have flagged it to me at the end of April.
Yeah.
So I just haven't got to it yet. So that came through to me 15 days ago.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere in the middle of my list. to give you an indication of where my lists are. Something came through to me 15 days ago. It's somewhere in the middle. But yeah, so now I'll get that done. I went to the knowledge.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, email.
Do you say you have some stamps?
Do I have stamps?
Yes.
No.
Wait, you had some spare stamps somewhere.
No, we saw some spare stamps. We were doing something the other day. We were clearing something out, and there was like. John, maybe I do have some stamps. Laura and I were clearing something out. And we found loads of stamps. No, Emma and I were clearing out the old archive space. And I think we found loads of stamps. Where were they?
Are they old stamps or new stamps?
Stamps. Kirsty, what's the difference? Stamps are stamps. They
No,
go on
they're
a
not.
letter and you put them in a letterbox.
No, they're not. They're
I
old.
don't know, because it's not 2010.
They're old stamps.
Oh, I don't know. They're just like the stamps. No, collect them then. Stick them in a little thing, and they'll be worth millions in a couple of
Yeah.
years.
The new stamps have to have a barcode on the side so they can scan it.
I just send emails. I don't send letters.
I know, but I've got books to send out. Like, what do I do with it?
What do we need to send out?
I've got a direct debit form sent and there's bits.
Oh God, it just should all be online. Do you know what I mean? The idea that we're sending like bank details through post is ridiculous in this day and age.
Yeah, but not everyone's as advanced as we are.
It's Nisbets, for Christ's sakes. They're a multi-million-pound business. They're massive compared to us.
No,
They're a catalogue magazine. They should.
I know.
We can argue all day about different
Yeah.
businesses because Booker's has been horrendous with
Although-
that setup. Has been one of the most.
I've
I'm
never
telling
known.
you, we bought buildings with less headache and hassle than we did setting up an account with Booker's.
I know. You think it'd be easy with you, but it's just
It should be.
so
Okay.
complicated. So
What was
it's
next
difficult
on
to
the
understand.
list?
Did you get a VAT receipt for that valuation fee you paid for Shrewsbury?
What I was going to say to you is I noticed because when I was going through, I was running through the lines. And it's no worries how you do your recs in terms of doing them daily. That absolutely makes perfect sense. But I did think that I can probably speed it up for you ever so slightly, because what you've got. So here, where you're doing like these and you're breaking it down,
Yeah.
you don't need to.
Well, I could wonder.
Don't need to because I was looking at it going, why is she doing that? Because when we started doing, if you think back to when you started doing pensions in the NI and the employer's liability, we were like, no, we don't need to do 10 lines, we'll just do 2
Yeah.
lines. And it's exactly it. The key thing is the accounts.
Yes.
The accounts and the VAT. So really, in theory, what you should end up have is just restaurant sales, effectively, because it's all going to the same code, and just do one. And then you'll have like takeaway drinks, because they'll be zero rated, so they'll be on a separate line. And if there's something different, like if they were selling merchandise down the restaurant, that would be on a separate line. But only create the lines that you need based on the account codes or based on the VAT codes.
Okay.
Cheers, Jeff. Outside of that, thank you, mate. Outside of that, I wouldn't break it down like this because that's exactly what Lightspeed will do for us. So you don't need to
Well, that's what I
re-break
thought.
it down. Yeah, you
So
don't
looking
need
at the
to.
other one for who does the other one? Oh, the other Lightspeed one. Well, we've got merchandise, and they've got 5 different lines of merchandise.
No, I was going to say So in here.
I was going to ask Lauren,
This
why?
is a conversation to have with Lauren, so we need to make sure we're setting the system right again, because yes, absolutely, you need to break down the activities and the tours and stuff, because obviously they code. But where you've got like merchandise stationery, merchandise homeware, merchandise clothing, merchandise accessories, you can just put it in as one code because it's just going to merchandise. Again, the key thing is it's broken down by account or VAT. So when we sell kids' clothes, which doesn't have VAT on it, that will still go to merchandise,
just not
but it will go
possible.
with so. But you can configure those. So what you can do if you want to is it would take you. You'd have to look at it, but you can basically set that. You can go into the codes. You know when you input the codes for the sales guys.
Yes.
You can create this as a code, or you could create it as a product, so a product we sell, and you can preset it behind the scenes to go to this account and put this VAT level on it. And therefore you've got it, so when you sell it, or when it's sold, you can then just literally type in merch kids, or type in kids, and it'll just pop up for you automatically, everything pre-filled. Because I did notice the other day, and it does happen, but it's one of those things, because we're not pre-filling it. There was one of the income lines had VAT on expenses, not VAT on income, and it just flagged to me. I was looking through the VAT report, and I was like, and then when I looked at it, and I could see what had happened, and that's how I picked up this. And I could see it because it was actually quite a big receipt as well. And I could see where you were doing obviously every line, and I was like, it's really easy when you're doing every line, just to because they're next to each other as well. So I was like, it's really easy to click the wrong one. But if you went into the I can show you very quickly, but if you go into the product side of things, this is confidently, so in the products, so for example, and you will have to work with, I would suggest you work with Lauren in terms of what you're doing, but where you've got the code set up here, but the way that's configured in the background will make no difference whatsoever to the front of the house team. Because they're just literally pressing the button still. The guided tour button still will be exactly in the same place, still do exactly the same thing. It's just behind the scenes. It will report in a different way. And that's really what you need to make your life more seamless and to make that faster. because there will be a way then of once we get that built, there will be then a way of integrating Lightspeed or whatever front of house system we're using with Xero.
Yep.
So it will automatically populate every single day for you the invoice. It will just automatically feed it through and go, yeah, this is what we've got, and then you're literally then able to look and go, yeah, that arrow's up, and then you're just pressing it on.
Okay.
And then as long as we're happy that we've audited, we've got all the right VAT, all the right account details, everything's in there in the right places, it becomes a really smooth process. Because I was saying to Lauren, trying to do this, if we had, I don't know, 1,000 lines of merch, that's going to be massive. Like, that's going to take you all day just to do one thing. So, so I would have a look at sort of streamlining that.
Okay. Is there anything else on the VAT return?
No. That was predominantly it. There was a couple of bits that I had to sort.
Okay.
It's always more complicated when we have big purchases over 2 days and quarters.
Your drinks and stuff like that you get from the cafe?
Yeah.
It sounds a really stupid question. Are you supposed to be paying for them or not?
No, I have a tap. They come through on a report.
Okay, and do you pay it? Do I have to invoice it or anything? Or?
I can't remember how Lisa did it. I'm not sure if she used to charge it across or not. How's it coming out in the report?
I haven't seen anything in the report.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about it until Kate said to me this morning about it. I didn't know you
What'd
weren't
she
paid for
say?
it. She put it under CEO expenses,
Yeah.
and then Lisa used to charge it across. I was like, I don't know anything about this because no one's
I don't think she
mentioned
did
it.
charge it across.
Well, I didn't think she did.
I think it's a perk.
Well, it should be a perk, but I wasn't
it's
sure
one of those
how
things
to
that,
record
like,
it.
I was like, I'm not paying for stuff again. Like, I can't remember how it was years ago, but it was one of those things. It was like, I can't remember how it began, but it was one of those things that yes, I have a button, so effectively that if they use my button, then it doesn't charge, but it runs the report. And Lisa was able to run the report on that and go, oh, this is how much it is. I think it just goes into my expense report, in fairness.
Okay.
I'll double check. So we don't know what that number is. I'm like, but why don't you know? Well, because we don't do it like that. Like, but you could do it like that, and it would just simplify your entire thing. So shy of me going to do it for them, it's not happening. But it's not my job to go and do it for them. It's their job to do it. They've got I signed off years ago. I was like, if you need to do it, do it. It's not even expensive. Just crack on and do it. Don't need me to do it. So they haven't done it. So, but that's no reason for them not to be stock taking, because they stock take on paper, on a stock order form. So you go, right, this is how much we've got, this is how much we used last week, or how much we used in the last few days, or whatever the time period is. So that's what we've got, that's what we've used, so therefore that's what we need to order. And then they restock, and so on and so forth. So they should be doing it. Otherwise, what are they doing? They're just guessing. I don't know how many handcuffs we order, but I know they sell well. So between the two companies, between the two companies, I'm like, hey guys, we need to be ordering 500 of these every month. But I need them on we can't do it on a pro forma basis because we just don't work like that. But we're going to order 500 every month, and can we have it on a 30-day payment term, or can we have it delivered and invoiced and then we'll have it on a 7-day payment term? But it needs to be post-delivery effectively, which is fairly standard in that industry. It's not unusual.
No.
Like, if you think about all the other suppliers that we have, most of those are payment terms.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to think of who the other merchandise. Do you want to grab a seat, Lauren? I'm trying to think of who the other suppliers are. If you think of brand art, it's definitely pay afterwards. The clothing ones are pay afterwards. All my marketing stuff is pay afterwards. They're all 30-day notice periods. So in that sense, that's the way I would run it. But I would ring these guys, but hey, look, we need to order X amount of handcuffs off you every month. This is what we need it like this, can you do that? And if they go, no, we don't do wholesale account, we don't do accounts like that, we go, okay, well, is there a value that we need to get to that triggers that? And if they go, yeah, it's $2,000, then we know what the benchmark is. We go, okay, cool, can we get to that? No, we can't. If they go, no, we just don't do it, go, okay, cool. Can you point us in the direction of another supplier for these handcuffs that does do it? Because we're going to go to one of your competitors. If the volume's there, they'll do it.
Okay.
Like, and I just think that's, but to be honest, both sides of things, the amount of handcuffs you're ordering, like, go direct. Skip the wholesalers, go direct. Alibaba, mate, straight in. I'll have 20,000 done for the year, or whatever it is, or hopefully that's a month's worth. Do you know what I mean? But you must be able to find those handcuffs in other places. We'll just go direct. Buy a 20-foot container, mate, straight from China. Done.
Okay, so that was the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, I'd really appreciate your comments, your thoughts, and anything in there that you just wanted to flag or ask any questions on, please do, because it all helps me to then align and frame up what's going to come next and what else I should concentrate on. So that was the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. As I say, you've been listening to Entrepreneur Life with me, Joel Campbell, and I am an entrepreneur.